Without further ado, I'm going to introduce the wonderful Wilfrid Obeng, who is the CTO and co-founder of AudioMob. And he's going to explain how, with AudioMob, audio ads are here to stay and power the advertising future.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I know Jackie for a while now. So yeah, I am here to talk about audio ads, and I know some of you might be like, audio ads in games, why would you do that? So I think it's important we start with the background. So who are AudioMob? So me and Christian, my co-founder, we both started and met at Google. So I started my career in the advertising space, but as a computer science graduate. And Christian started his career in Google, but he was managing over $100 million of advertising budget at Google, while I was also looking and exploring audio advertising and other forms of advertising, from native advertising to audio advertising, and also banner and image advertising. But we stumbled across an amazing opportunity when we first started. We started with streaming music into games, which is actually where the whole company idea started. And then we realized there's this big problem in the gaming industry of retention and video ads and the user experience around video ads. So we decided to actually look and investigate that. And that's when we actually pivoted and changed the company from being focused around simply music advertising and streaming music into games, but then into how you could actually use audio advertising with our clients and also use it to produce and send a message to all of our different users in the gaming industry. So that's enough about me and Christian. I think more importantly, game developers came to hear about how we can actually use audio advertising in gaming and why it's actually a good idea. So where I want to start is, where is the advertising industry going? And I think something that's very clear to everyone in this room is that people are sick and tired of having hyper-personalized advertising that's often intrusive. We've seen that with all of the repercussions that's come from stuff like Cambridge Analytica, and also all of the laws and legislations around GDPR, COPPA, etc. So one thing that's clear to start the kind of talk off is privacy is one of the key things that people care about. I think the second thing to talk about, which is also really important though, is contextual and the importance of why contextual advertising is actually really important to users, meaning that you're not using hyper-personalized information, we're using higher level information around the game's genre, around the user location, but at a much higher level. So a town and city rather than a lat and long, for example. The last thing, I think one that's really important to the gaming industry is non-interrupting advertising. So the idea of not interrupting the user experience, but still allowing yourself to monetize and make all the money that you need to kind of control and actually maintain your studios. So the next thing, and that picture, if anyone's seen it, is from the Apple advert around ads tracking, which is actually quite good. It's actually a lady poking over the side of someone looking for a particular type of cream in a supermarket, someone behind them taking notes. So it kind of shows where the industry and what people's sentiment towards intrusive and very personalized advertising is. The next thing is, okay, how are we at AudioMob then shaping the future? So the first thing for us is not interrupting the user. The second thing is to make sure we're using private information, so more top-level, high-level information. And the third thing, and I think that's something that'll be very resonate with a lot of you in here, is we actually have access to a lot of branding revenue. So rather than the typical cannibalization of having gaming brands actually advertise on your games, you actually have the ability to access other brands external to gaming. So these are from anything from, you can think about P&G to likes of any music label that'll be interested in advertising on your gaming assets. And I'm going to touch on that a bit later. The thing I want to kind of go back to though, and the reason why this is important is, audio doesn't require all of that personalized information. Audio doesn't require us to also take all of your device information. And it's also, I think something that's more importantly, and resonate more with you, is it's also IDFA resistant. So the revenue and the CPMs I'm going to quote are all post IDFA changes. So the next slide is, and I think everyone's probably wondering, okay, what does an actual audio ad look like? And they come in many forms, right? And the way we look at ourselves at AudioMob is we are like a DIY toolkit for game developers. We're not here to prescribe to you, this is exactly how you have to implement. We'll give recommendations, but I think it's important for game developers to implement them in ways that they see fit. So here's an example, and what you'll see is you get an instant reward. You currently have it's a small helicopter that changes to an Apache once you receive a reward. I'm gonna just see. Okay, perfect.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. First jobs, flexible jobs.
So some of you might be wondering, okay, that is a banner image. That's quite interesting. Why does an audio have a banner image? So a lot of audio advertising comes with a banner image, but at AudioMob, we actually have complete array of actual integration. So that's one way a developer has chosen to integrate. Another is, this is an example from our Big Brother game, and it shows a progressive ad. And what you're gonna see is a user is going to request an ad using a radio in game. So this Big Brother game is a bit like The Sims, and it allows you to basically earn rewards, and you get extra points and extra gems for actually listening to audio ads or any type of ads and getting a reward. So what you'll see here is they've implemented using that radio, and it allows them to continue to play the game.
Progressive presents Get Pumped. Inspiration to help you do insurance stuff.
Okay, time out. You're gonna let your budget be the boss of you? Take control with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay for cars.
So what happened there was the user initiated an audio ad, and then they managed to get a reward and then they went into the shower and took a shower within the game. Another example, and the reason why I say we call ourselves DIY Toolkit, is an audio-only example. So you don't actually require the banner, because I know a lot of game developers in here are probably really conscious about their screen real estate. So you do not need a banner, and on this example, what you'll see is when the user jumps off the edges like a street diver game, what you'll see is in the bottom corner, you'll see audio ad playing with the amount of time remaining. And the reason why we ask actually developers to do that is just so that there's that visual cue. So that actual user knows that something's actually coming and there's something actually playing, and they don't know where the hell this audio source is coming from. So you'll see here in this example.
Say hello to Disney Plus. Start streaming the most talked about movies, series.
So I won't play the whole ad. I think we all get the idea now. I think the question I always get, and the next question usually is, all right, so what happens if someone mutes? And I think this is a really great example. So what we've done is we spent 2 years doing a lot of audio analysis on device. So we actually detect the volume on device. So it's not just the game's volume, it's actually what you're doing on your phone, not in a creepy way, at a very high level. The first thing we do is you can actually detect the device volume. But I think the second thing that's really interesting is, especially amongst 16 to 25-year-olds, often they're listening to music while playing on their phones. So they'll have the game's volume on mute, but they'll also be listening to music. You'll usually see it on like the tube, or if you're on the New York subway, what you'll see is someone will be listening to their music probably in AirPods. It's the AirPod generation, especially with Gen Z. But what you'll notice is that they hate the idea of the audio ad becoming muffled or tangled with their music, right? So this is something that we spend a lot of time analyzing. So what we do is we seamlessly pause the user's audio. So if they're listening to, let's say, let it be Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, what we'll do is we will actually pause that audio, play the ad, and then return the audio back to them. So those are things that we're doing to make sure the user experience is actually quite seamless when they're listening to these audio ads, and not annoying and not intrusive. So here's an example of that, and you'll see what happens is, and the way this was integrated with this development studio is that when the volume goes below the threshold, they actually take away the reward. So it's a way of incentivizing the user to actually keep on listening to the ads. So if I show you here.
ER jobs, Soho jobs, Shoreditch jobs, keep me away from this.
So when the user lowers the volume, you have two options. One that you can tap to raise the volume, and then the other is that you can then manually increase the volume as well. Oh, let me go back. So let me finish this.
ER central line jobs, banking jobs, building jobs, never ever boring jobs, small jobs, big jobs.
So for us, something that's really important is the volume threshold as well. So we mark that at 30% because we believe that's what makes a actual audio impression audible. And it also helps when we go to these different brands and we're pitching, because it's really important for them to make sure that these audio ads actually can be heard and are at an audible level. So the next thing is, and a really important thing I think for game developers is it's unaffected by these IDFA changes. So we have around 90% fill rate in the US, and then you have the banner revenue increases from what you typically see with normal banners, which would be like 10 cent to all the way up to $1 if you really are running a really tight ship, a really tight waterfall. But with AudioMob ad, you have a $5 to $15 CPM. So this is really showing that you can actually earn quite a lot of money without interrupting the user and actually having a continuous flow of ads rather than a one-off which interrupts and you see a drop in retention. So some of our clients, and this is where it gets really interesting when we talk about the advertising space and why it's important there. So we have a lot of clients that actually are really interested and really passionate about getting into the gaming space. So a lot of people wonder, like, why would someone want to use audio? But you have to realize on the opposing side, this is where all of the eyes and ears are. So for all of these advertisers, this is the place they really want to be. And then a lot for them, they see these studios as a place where they can actually make a lot of revenue without interrupting the user, but also having their attention. So we have some case studies. I'll play a bit of this because it's actually quite a lot longer, but I don't want to go through all of it. So this is Finn Crewer from Ninth Impact, which actually got acquired by Tilting Point, and he explains some of his experience with the integration.
Hello, I'm Finn Brewer. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Ninth Impact. We specialize in creating games for television franchises. Our most recent release has been Big Brother the Game. With this game, we wanted to look to the future. AudioMob, it's something new.
With no fees or minimums on checking.
Sorry, let me go back.
Would watch an ad.
Banking with Capital One is like...
Players who would watch an ad for in-game currency, they'll prefer audio ads. They're pleasantly surprised they can continue playing and be able to get a reward for it. The AudioMob plugin is, as Unity plugins should be, import, initialize, and go.
So
compared to banner and interstitial.
There. So what we found is that there's been no retention impact when having these audio ads because of the fact that the user isn't being interrupted. And we're also seeing that actually there's some fun little lessons where a lot of users are using audio ads to monetize and gain a lot of rewards in games at a very high rate because they're able to do multiple tasks or continue to play at the same time. So we found that with the Big Brother game, actually, that a lot of people were especially in certain regions and certain geos, were actually using these audio ads as a way to kind of get ahead in the game, which was actually quite an interesting observation. Another cool thing, and I've got some of our sales team, our amazing sales team in here today, is that because we have a sales team and the AudioMob team, we're able to do very interesting case studies and work with very interesting people. So a lot of our, thanks to the work of our sales team, we managed to secure a lot of artists in particular, especially through the pandemic, and one of them being NAS. So the reason why a lot of these brands and artists want to get into the gaming space is because it's where a lot of people are now. And it's one of the most diverse audiences of people, from gaming mums all the way to young people and Gen Z. Everyone is gaming. So for them, this is a place where they can place ads, but it's also a place Nas knew that he could also reach an incremental audience. So it's not just the typical audience that you can get through if you just use Spotify ads or you went on Instagram. It's actually a new space. And for them, a lot of the time, it's around competing around how to become the #1 artist or to how you can get the most amount of streams for a particular week. And for them, gaming, where people are playing hours and hours gaming, and also people are playing it between commutes or after commutes or at bedtime or at lunchtime, it's a perfect place for them to actually seed and put these ideas into the market. So that, and here's an example of, actually another cool thing is that a lot of them have realized the power of personalizing the ads actually. So before I play this, actually what we've got is we actually got a quote from, I've actually got Nas actually made a recording personally for us where he actually calls out the fact of his new album. So that also helps, which we see on the sales side, where a lot of people are more engaged with these ads than they are with normal ads because of the fact that it actually has that personalization. You actually hear a voice in the background.
Bad boy Every time I pop out, it pop off. YKTV got the top off. What's up, everybody? It's Nas. Check out my new album, King's Disease 2.
So that's the example there. And then what I implore everyone to do is actually, because I know we're with game developers, and I'm a big fan of actually letting people download and actually try it for themselves. So please download the demo. You can actually try all of this yourselves. You can also reach out to us within the demo as well. But I'll leave that up for a few seconds. A few people grabbing out their phones. So yeah, please check out the demo. Feel free to message us, and also check out volume detection and see how that works for yourselves as well. And then if you want to email us directly, if you've already heard enough, you can also reach us at developerrelations@audiomob.com, or come and see us at the AudioMob store. Thank you.